In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern where we do have a few significant storms on the way. There is a quieter patch in there for a few days, but we do have a couple of storms coming up soon. And then later on, we will see some more next week. So let's dive into things and just take a look. And we've been in a very active pattern. We've seen some very, very interesting and intense tornadic activity. I mean, we had an interesting Oklahoma tornado, which thankfully didn't hit a very populated area yesterday, but that was a extremely unique storm. And then we had obviously some larger and more major tornadoes also last week and this previous week. So definitely been an active pattern in the severe weather department, and we do unfortunately expect a lot of that to continue as we're reaching towards tomorrow afternoon. What we see is that we have some more severe weather possible. We have 1,004 up here in Iowa. Let's switch this back to black here so we can see a little bit better, but we do have this 1,004 up there over Iowa, 1,001 down here by Texas. And your main corridor to watch for a lot of this activity is going to be on the southern end of this northern low and the eastern end of that more southern low. And we see Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Missouri in there for the heart of that activity. Expect more kind of persistent precipitation through Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, up through Michigan. That is in general what you should expect. Let's take a look at Friday on May 3rd here, and what we see is this 1,003 up there in Canada still causing impacts. As we see, all of this storminess is kind of attached to a cold front underneath that low. So some thunderstorm activity all the way from Texas, Louisiana, and the rest of the Gulf states there, all the way as far northward as the Great Lakes and into Canada. So a very, very wide swath of thunderstorm and severe weather activity there. We do have 1,000 millibar over Colorado, and this seems to be a hot spot for a lot of our low pressure systems starting. So be on the lookout for this one, as this one might have some pretty impactful situations following it. Starting out with this, to the north of it, some snowfall for Utah, Idaho, Wyoming there, some of South Dakota and Nebraska perhaps as well. So a pretty interesting storm causing some wintry impacts here in the month of May. That low does dissipate by the time we're taking a look at Saturday afternoon on May 4th. We see a lot of thunderstorm activity for a lot of these areas throughout the deeper south, southeast, Ohio Valley into the northeast here. Plenty of activity. Out west, we do see lots and lots of rainfall for the lower elevations and coastal areas. Snowfall throughout the higher elevations of Washington, Oregon, and California there. And actually very, very heavy in some spots. And this is likely due to a stronger low we have here over Nevada. 994, certainly going to be a little bit more impactful there. And likely some low pressure offshore as well, aiding things out there. By the time we reach Sunday afternoon on May 5th, we have this 991 over Utah, which is going to be especially strong, maybe even the strongest low pressure system of this model run. And we have some corridors of lower elevation rainfall throughout portions of the Rockies and the Northwest. But we also have this larger corridor of some snowfall happening for portions of Oregon, Idaho, Nevada, Utah, Wyoming here, perhaps some of California and Montana as well. So plenty of wintry weather happening with that one also. And again, this is for Sunday on the 5th. We do have plenty of scattered about thunderstorms happening for the deeper south, southeast, up into the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic, and even up into the northeast here. So a lot of your south, central, and eastern states seeing some thunderstorm activity by this point. Let's take it towards Monday, and what we see is this low out west is now a 981 over eastern Montana, causing some Rocky Mountain snowfall, of course, for states like Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, and Colorado. And then some thunderstorm activity, especially along the plains here, like North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, and Kansas. Be on the lookout for some severe weather on the eastern end of this one, as this is a pretty brutal low pressure system. Again, we see the continued isolated and scattered about thunderstorm activity for the south central, southeastern, and up the east coast states there. Again, on Monday the 6th. Tuesday on the 7th here, things get a little bit interesting as we still have our lower 980s low pressure system over Canada here, extending a frontal boundary down here through the plains. But we also have a 997 here over Iowa, so be on the lookout for, again, some stronger thunderstorms along this area of the Midwest and some of the plains. Also, continued snowfall and cold for the northwest corner of the nation down through portions of the Rockies. That looks to continue here, at least for the next little bit. Wednesday on the 8th here, what we see is a little bit more scattered about precipitation, both in the form of snowfall and rainfall out west. And same story here in the east, except it's exclusively thunderstorms and showers. By the time we take a look at Thursday on May 9th, what we see is a little bit more thunderstorm and rainy activity here. But especially the southeast and mid-Atlantic here, we're seeing some stronger thunderstorms perhaps. It is a little bit far out and locations can certainly change. But that seems to be the most intense area at this point. By the time we're taking a look at this as well, we see a 998 over Colorado again with some snowfall and rainfall depending on your elevation once again. So another major storm moving through those areas. And for Friday afternoon on the 10th, we see weaker low pressure, but it is there, and primarily rainfall throughout a lot of the plains and into the mid-Atlantic states. But even some snowfall here along the Rockies once again. Let's take it to the next morning, which is as far as we get here, and we do see some scattered about thunderstorm activity for the north central and kind of some of the eastern states there. Total precipitation tells the full story, and that full story is that a majority of the nation here will be seeing a very active 10-day period, including the northwest here, for one, the central states, as it has been showing this for quite a while, but we are also seeing this activity extend towards the East Coast now finally, which really wasn't the case for almost the entire month of April. So we are seeing an uptick in this activity, the biggest uptick since April, like I mentioned. Total snowfall here, still a lot expected for the mountainous west, actually, believe it or not, through May 11th. Doesn't look to end too soon, but before June time, this will basically be stripped away to almost nothing. So we do see a particularly snowy week upcoming due to the way these storms come in and the temperature patterns. I bet after this little round of snow and cold is through, that we're going to see this for the most part coming to an end. Now, your temperature pattern, we do see overall warmth in the east expected to really just prevail. I mean, this is me moving all the way through the model run. The first little signs we have at cold is the 10th here. And we see a cool down move down in through the eastern states from Canada, obviously. And mostly this is due to a positive P&A out west, which really redirects a lot of this Canadian cold to have to pour out to the east. And sure enough, we see that happen. And we really stick in that pattern all the way from the 10th through the 15th on that particular model. Let's take a look at the Storm Prediction Center. And for this day one outlook in the lighter greens, we are seeing a general thunderstorm risk area. That's where we expect general thunderstorms, but of course, anything is possible, so be on the lookout. A marginal risk level 1 here in the darker greens, which is going to indicate isolated severe weather activity. Your yellow here is your slight risk level 2, where it gets a little bit more scattered for these folks. And then your orange area for Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas here is going to be that enhanced risk, which is a level 3. And we do expect a little bit more widespread activity out there. And this is for Wednesday, May 1st, today from the time I'm making this video, all the way through 6 a.m. tomorrow on Thursday, May 2nd. Now, for Thursday, May 2nd, all the way through Friday morning on May 3rd, we see a little bit of a downgrade, obviously. Some lighter green areas pretty prevalent in here for that general thunderstorms area. And then we have this marginal risk area from Texas all the way up through portions of the Midwest. And that is where we expect the isolated severe weather to be possible. Day 3 is the same story. Again, a lot of general thunderstorms expected. And then just a pocket of some isolated severe weather there for the plains. Now, in the extended outlook, we do have one outlook here, and that's going to be for Monday on May 6th. And this roughly translates to a slight risk for Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. A little bit of Iowa and Missouri perhaps in there as well. Maybe half a county or a county or two included in this. And again, this yellow area roughly translates to a slight risk. It could go higher than this, and certainly it could be bigger than this. But this is 6 days out right now, so there is a lot of time for them to change this, and I always want you guys to be aware of that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe as we do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.